What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA DFS Early Look. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed below or directly at WiseTake.com if you're looking to take your DFS game to the next level. We are a premium DFS content provider as well as a DFS community designed to help make you a better DFS player. Go check us out at WiseTake.com. Day Pass is available for $2.50. For full NBA access for one day, which includes our pre-lock live stream. Paulie and I, Monday through Friday, go live 45 minutes prior to lock, take you up to lock to try to give you guys updates, explain exposures that we may have at positions, and we literally build our squads when up until lock just to get the news and all that good shit. So go check it out. Anyway, if you're new to the channel, welcome. You came to the right place for free DFS content. Subscribe, hit the notifications bell. Don't miss out on any of the free content we put out. Like the video, leave some comments. I enjoy interacting with you all. It's been really cool to mix it up a little bit. I try to respond in the comments as much as I can. And most importantly, please share this show. Sharing is really big. Sharing helps us grow. And our growth allows us to enhance our product, enhance our content, enhance our shows, maybe even do more free content. So please share the show. It goes a long way with us. Okay, that being said, we've got a 9-game slate with a 30-minute cushion, right? A little later. So right out the gate, we got 3 games locking at 7:30, which means we got to be on our A game, because one of the things that we normally do is I'll be building my teams, and I'll just make sure my exposures are set for the early game specifically, and then kind of late swap afterwards. But I'm going to have to be on the ball because we got 3 games out of the 9, all starting at 7:30. And then it looks like we have another 4 at 8. We do have like the mini late night hammer, right? Phoenix, Charlotte at 9. And then the actual late night hammer, Lakers and Utah. All right, we're going to start things off with Boston and Atlanta. We got FanDuel and DraftKings pulled up. So on paper, this appears to be one of the better games, right? And I think it will be. Both teams are on the back end of a back-to-back. These teams have played each other a bunch lately. Trae Young has done well. They played a home 2 games straight in Boston. Trae Young did really well in both, and he's been on a streak, man. It's 4 straight games where he's just been smashing. I'd imagine he gets some ownership, rightfully so. Jason Tatum did not do well enough. I don't want to say he didn't do well because he did. Against Dallas, but you can see in his 2 games against Atlanta, he did kind of smash. Now, John Collins is out, so we'll have to see what kind of openings that does with the starting lineup. Looks like for Atlanta. Well, I'm assuming he's out. He had a concussion, left the game, didn't come back, and he got sauced up twice by Tatum. So, and he got sauced up by Julius Randle when they played the Knicks. So, curious to see who they replace. I know in the second half they started Danilo Gallinari. He didn't do much with it. We'll get into that later, but something to keep an eye on. We'll see if Kemba Walker plays. He has not been playing on back-to-backs. That's going to obviously boost the usage of Brown and Tatum. As far as pricing goes, wow, Jaylen Brown and Tatum are both priced up on DraftKings. It's not something we've seen. I think Brown was just 8K against Dallas, and Tatum was like 8-9. So a little more similar. I think they're in the cash game realm, though. And it's really going to depend on the scope of the slate as a whole. But I think they're at least in the conversation at this point, assuming Kemba Walker does sit. I don't know that he will. If Kemba Walker plays, I don't mind going to Kemba. It's just he hasn't played a whole ton of back-to-backs. I don't think he's played any. So something to keep an eye on. Right? Yeah. Okay. Something to keep an eye on for this slate. Tice is fine. Thompson's fine. Cam Reddish did miss. Kevin Huerter's coming off a really good game. Played 37 minutes. Why? Probably because Cam Reddish was out. If you notice the difference. And that made all the difference for him. So keep an eye out for the status of Cam Reddish. We can play some more Huerter. If Reddish were to miss again, obviously we'd go to him. But it would start to kind of make them a little more thin. Gallo was horrific. He started the second half and it was just terrible. So again, we'll have to see what they do if John Collins is out. Positionally, you can see they don't really have a whole ton. So we'll have to wait. I would assume that would be good for Capella, right? I would assume that means Capella, they would ask him to play more minutes than they may want to. Again, against Cleveland, he played 36 here with John Collins out. So there'll be a couple moves we'll have to make if he is in fact out. All right, moving on. We've got Houston and Cleveland. John Wall is 8-3 on DraftKings, 8-5 on FanDuel. Victor Oladipo is a game time decision currently, so he's questionable. If Oladipo were to miss, and he's missed a lot of time, I would feel comfortable playing John Wall. It's the scope of the slate, and while I don't think that 8-5 and 8-3 is a phenomenal price tag for what we've seen from him, this may be one of the few games Houston can actually keep close. And if that happens, we should see John Wall get full run for once, and dirties could be done. I do think that Jared Allen on a back-to-back is a little scary, but he's been awesome. He has. OKC, Atlanta, he's been great. And Houston, I think got rid of Boogie. Is that right? They're releasing Boogie. So assuming Boogie's not there because they released him, we were told that they were going to sit him and all this, and then they said nah. But assuming that they are releasing him, Houston's got no centers because Christian Wood is out. So kind of in a rough spot there. Justin Patton for value on DraftKings, 3,500 against Cleveland. Played 21 minutes against the Bulls, right? Got some action there, right? Backing up. And that game did blow out, so he probably did get some blowout run. Something to keep in mind. But Jared Allen is in a good spot. We saw Wendell Carter had an explosion type game against these guys. Jayshawn Tate has been playing really well since, Depot's been out and everything else. I think he's obviously in play. If Depot comes back, it's going to mess things up. Maybe he comes back on a minutes limit, and then I'd be willing to chance ball anyway. But if Depot comes back, that's probably going to mess things up a little bit. Cedi Osman did not start. He only got 19 minutes as a result, which was a shame because if he was going to start, I was just going to load up. It just didn't happen. I think Eric Gordon is probable, right? It's questionable. Okay. So obviously the injury news here is going to be pretty important, right? If Depot's back, it's going to have some effect. But if Gordon's out, then they're both going to get a little bit of a boost. If Gordon and Depot are out, then John Wall, in my opinion, is almost like a lock at that point, even at his prices. And also, you get guys like David Nwaba, who recently, I think, went for 40. Smashed against Chicago in 26 minutes, too. And the new house and some of these other guys. Keep an eye out for the status of Taurean Prince as well. So this game's just a mess, man. This game's just a fucking mess. That's the truth. But it's Houston and Cleveland, right? These franchises are kind of a mess. Well, I don't want to diss Cleveland like that because they're at least on the right track. Houston is just like stripped down rebuild, right? Like you just got rid of Harden, your best player and ever. It's crazy. Anyway. I do like that game. I know it sounded kind of sloppy on the delivery, but there's a lot we have to sift through. Once we get the news, we'll make our decisions then. But I do want to keep my eye on that one and for the early ones. Steph Curry's coming off a great game against the Knicks. Sabonis is in an awesome spot. His price is up there. He's expensive. Brogdon also expensive, but I respect the spot. It's a good spot for Miles Turner as well. The Pacers have not played well to their standard anyway. But they haven't played since February 17th, right? Is that right, or is that just McConnell? Yeah, they haven't played since February 17th, so they're pretty well rested. The Warriors are on a back-to-back, right? Traveling out of New York. It just looks like a pretty scary spot for the Warriors. I don't like necessarily always playing that way, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some people sit. We'll have to see. But I'm a little concerned about the Warriors side, who to play. The pricing's an issue for the Pacers side, but matchup-wise, it's phenomenal. Montes Sabonis, Malcolm Brogdon, right? Draymond went off, by the way. Who doesn't know? TJ McConnell, man, it was nice when he was getting minutes. He's starting all that good shit. He's in play for tournaments. Doug McDermott's price has come down. 27 minutes, he showed his floor of 9.9. The ugly little floor is. But these guys are obviously fine. Nothing too special for me, though. Minnesota-Chicago should be interesting. It's a back-to-back from Minnesota. We'll see if anybody sits from Minnesota, but assuming that is not the case. Great spot for Cat against Wendell Carter. Phenomenal spot for Cat. I don't like taking bigs on the back end of a back-to-back, but sometimes you're left with no choice. And I think we're in that situation now because Cat, probably one of the more underpriced studs, considering his minutes, assuming he gets full run. against Chicago. Chicago's favored. You don't see that very often. Revenge spot for Zach LaVine if you're into that. Either way, I think it's a good spot for Zach LaVine regardless of the revenge. He's expensive, but in a good spot nonetheless. Thaddeus Young continues to impress. I mean, he's only getting 20 minutes a night, and he's still going out there. You can see that if Wendell Carter gets hurt again, we're going to have to load up on this dude because he's going nuts. But right now, he's not getting a ton of minutes, so it's obviously a big risk. Malik Beasley. Big Bad Beasley tried his best to keep his team close against Milwaukee. Didn't quite work out. But in play for tournaments as well. Same thing with Anthony Edwards. I'm fine with him. Kobe White's coming off a really good game. 24 points, 10 rebounds. Only 5'7" on FanDuel. I'm sure he's 6'5" on DraftKings. Yeah, okay. Obviously, Wendell Carter coming off of the best game of his season, I would think. Again, apologize for the yawns. Just grinding it for the nation late at night. It's what we do. It'll pay off. Trust me. Wendell Carter coming off an awesome game, doubled. That was against Houston, for the record. That was the game we were referring to before. Garrett Temple, minutes play. There's nothing special. Like that's the problem with all these games, really. Like, just looking at the games as a whole, Boston, Atlanta, it looks like the most attractive in terms of, like, okay, well, Boston's a very good team, and Atlanta is a team that shows fight, right? At least from time to time. Houston, Cleveland is the next, like, well, both these teams suck, so it should at least stay close. And the ones in between aren't that great. Now, I will say this, Chicago has been one of the fastest teams in the league this year, so that's going to obviously get us interested. Minnesota's defense is terrible. That's going to get us interested. So this is probably one of the top game stacks of the night, if we can figure out where to go. Next up, we will go to Toronto and Miami. Buckets is expensive, but he's earned it. This is another good game. I probably discredited this one a little bit too much. Another good game. I think it's a decent spot for Butler and Bam, the way Toronto has played. Kyle Lowry, I think, is expected to be back. There's a good chance to play. I don't mind Kyle Lowry at 7-1 and 7-4. I don't mind it just because everyone else's price is reflective of him being out, so everybody's price on his team is elevated while his is low because they didn't know when he was going to come back. So I'm okay with it. It's obviously going to impact Norman Powell, you would think. We'll see what that starting lineup looks like. Kendrick Nunn's been awesome. But Tyler Hero is going to have to be out for me to feel comfortable getting too heavy of exposure. If Tyler Hero plays, now again, Tyler Hero got hurt against the Lakers and then didn't play at all against OKC. Those are the two games that Nunn went nuts. So that's something to keep in mind. If Tyler Hero plays, that could affect the usage rate for Nunn. Goran Dragic, a game time decision. No way. My man had an ankle sprain and missed a ton of time. We'll see. Keep an eye out. Obviously, if he plays at 4,600 on FanDuel, he's interesting. He's 5'6" on DraftKings, but we'd have to see if there's any minute limitation or anything like that, for sure. Nothing else that I'm over the top about. Could be a Boucher day. It's possible, but Bam and buckets are really your primary stops, especially if Hero does play. I don't mind Hero if he's in. But yeah, this could be another, it's, game stack-ish type game, right? Looking forward to shootouts, stay close, whatever. Detroit, New Orleans. Great spot for Zion. I don't see anybody that's going to stop Zion on this squad. Great spot for Brandon Ingram. They're both expensive, but they've earned it. It's a back-to-back for Detroit. We should mention that. What's the status with Adams? Adams currently questionable, right? Okay, Adams is probable. So Willie Hernan-Gomez, it was cool. It was fun. But the days of playing you a massive exposure have come to an end, at least for now. But we'll keep you in our hearts. And I probably still play you a little bit on DraftKings at lower ownership, especially for this game that has like a pretty big spread. Plumlee's interesting, but nah. Lonzo Ball's okay. Detroit was really efficient. They did really well. It's interesting. Josh Jackson ended up being pretty popular. He did end up getting there, hitting his 30 mark. But listen, real basketball, there's obviously something's off, right? Nobody wants him. But DFS wise, love that dude. Wish he would get 36 minutes a night. Really do. Saban Lee. What to do with the guards here? I think they both did well. DSJ and Paulie asked me too, can you play them together? And I was like, nah. But 18 minutes of DSJ. He seems to be on some kind of minute restriction. I don't know. But he did do well. However, it's the second game in a row that Saban leaded really well. And again, 8 for 11. You know. Saban on DraftKings will be really popular. I'm willing to go there. If the game gets ugly, he's probably going to play right. He is kind of the blowout guy, right? So, yeah, I feel comfortable with that. Curious on what's going on with 12 minutes for Frank Jackson. Frank Jackson did make an appearance. He just didn't play well. That could really jack things up, you know, for the people considering just loading up on Saban Lee and those guys. He could come in the equation and kind of jack things up. Josh Hart has big upside, right? He's shown that a few different times. I think this is a spot where you could maybe show a little bit more of that. The problem is his floor is a lot lower than guys that have the upside he has. That's kind of the issue. Not the most attractive game, though, right? Revenge for the coach, Stan Van Gundy against Detroit, if you want to go that route. San Antonio, OKC. San Antonio has not played in a long time. Is DeRozan? DeRozan is out. Is that right? Yeah, okay, he's out. They haven't played since the 14th. It's been a while. That means DeJounte Murray should have massive usage, right? Marcus Aldridge is a game time decision. He's questionable. Could he potentially... Damn, he looks old in that picture. Look at that, man. Look at that dude. He looks old as fuck. Yeah, it's a maybe. Rudy Gay is out as well. Among multiple Spurs were out. Okay, so we got the COVID running wild still. Let's take a look. I'm going to pull it up on DraftKings here and let's see. So DeRozan's out. Keldon Johnson's out. White is out. Gay is out. Vassal's out. So who the hell is left on this team? Patty Mills is left. DeJounte Murray's left. Lonnie Walker's there. Lonnie Walker's going to have to play a ton, I would think. Keita Bates-Diop is there. He's going to end up playing some. Former Timberwolf. Again, we'll check the status of LaMarcus Aldridge, but Trey Lyles. Wow. And then obviously Podol, who they priced up at 6'4", on DraftKings. How much is he on FanDuel? 6'2" over here on FanDuel. Played 36 minutes against Charlotte. Yeah, okay, so there you have it. We're going to be loading up on the Spurs. The Spurs are going to be the vessel we use to get whatever else we want on this slate. They're thin. They're extremely thin right now. So we're looking at like Trey Lyles should be playing a bunch of minutes. 4K and 3-2. Why DraftKings? Come on, man. I mean, I guess if Aldridge plays, that could wipe that out a little bit. Because it could just start Aldridge at the 4. But I think Lonnie Walker's going to have to play a ton, man. And he's been on a... Oh, man, he's been on a minute restriction. So can he even... So maybe it's a Keita Bates-Diop day. Either way, if this game stays close, you would expect DeJounte Murray to have a fuck ton, if you will, of usage. Yeah. So, okay, the Spurs are that team. We'll do some more investigating tomorrow. As far as the OKC side goes, I think that on FanDuel specifically, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is still too cheap. I think Isaiah Roby, assuming that he starts... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Horford's back. What am I talking about? What am I? I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. But yeah, SGA, 7,500, too cheap. Horford at 6'1" in play. I'm okay with Basley, but he's just so hard to predict. At this point, I mean, Theo Maledon at 4,500 is getting minutes. I think I can't really see a ton that I love from OKC outside of SGA, but I feel like maybe there needs to be, because the Spurs are terrible defensively, and now they're missing all their players. I don't know. SGA for sure. Either way, the Spurs side should be heavily owned. They need to be, because they look really thin. It's looking like maybe they'll have the minimum of 8 players available. We'll see. Charlotte and Phoenix. Mini late night hammer. LaMelo Ball is going to have his hands full of Chris Paul. Terry Rozier continues to be too cheap on FanDuel at 7,300. I mean, Ball's a little too cheap at 7,800, even with the matchup. Chris Paul's not exactly who he used to be, right? Paul, speaking of Paul, his price has actually been lowered. 75 on FanDuel is not bad. 7.7 on DraftKings, not terrible. Oh, and we also have to keep in mind Gordon Hayward got hurt. That hurt his hand. Right hand bruise. Oof. And they're already missing. Graham. Graham's already been ruled out. Sorry, couldn't think of his name. This could get interesting. Let's take a look at the Charlotte side of this. So we know Ball and Rozier. Now, the other part of this, you need the game to stay close. So Bridges could end up getting more run. And Bridges has not been great, but he's shown upside in the past last year. Malik Monk could also end up getting more run in guard-heavy sets, right? Which I'm trying to think. They could do. It's more like Phoenix could do that if they have to, but Phoenix does have some big players at the forward and all this. If they want to do that, they can kind of force them big. Either way, PJ Washington's to get a little bit more action. Maybe they have to play Cody Zeller more because it's a great spot for centers. But Biyombo's been playing decent defensively, and I think they seem to like that. But it's going to give a boost, especially on FanDuel, to guys like Terry Rozier and LaMelo Ball for sure. Even in this matchup, Phoenix does play slower, and they've been pretty decent defensively. But it is interesting. If Gordon Hayward's out, they're more likely to get their ass kicked. But they're also, at least when we're on the court, we should see a ton of shots from guys like Rozier and LaMelo Ball. For sure. And like I said, man, I don't mind punting with Malik Monk. I'm cool with Jay Crowder on the Philly side. The Phoenix side. I think that makes sense. He's like, the problem with Crowder is, especially when he's coming off the bench, the game's got to be competitive. They were in 2 straight blowouts, and you can see he did not play enough. But in the 2 games that were close before that, he did play the full almost 30 minutes and balled out. So we need the game to stay close. Put him in your close builds. You know what I mean? I guess we might see the Cody Martin a little bit. I don't know, but Charlotte maybe end up pretty thin themselves. Lakers and Utah. AD out, we know. Late night hammer. What to do with LeBron James? Are people going to bail on LeBron? Even in an overtime game against Washington, only went up for a measly 56 with massive usage because AD's out. They're playing Utah. They've lost 3 straight and lost, I think, 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5, something like that. Can they afford another loss? I mean, they can technically. Do they feel like they can? No Schroeder, no AD. I think we go back to LeBron. I think we do. I wonder what ownership's going to do. Like, he's been chalk pretty much every day, but maybe people are sick of it. Maybe people don't want to do it against Utah. There is altitude in Utah. Utah's a very hard place to play. They're a very good team this year, but especially at home with the altitude, all that shit, kind of like Denver. But yeah, I could do LeBron. I'm gonna go back to LeBron. I'm cool with Donovan Mitchell also, man. He seems to get up for these kind of moments. Rudy Gobert's in a very good spot. Revenge spot for Clarkson. Could it happen? Montrezl, maybe not so much. This is a tough one. Kyle Kuzma, man. Just dude has chances to put up such big numbers and just sucks. But at 5.7 on FanDuel, I'll probably continue to have to play him there. It's disastrous. I think Mike Conley at 5,600 got 29 minutes against Charlotte. That was good to see. That just seems like kind of easy. Maybe more of a cash game deal, but it seems kind of easy at this point. I like this game. I'm going to get the games I like. I like Houston, Cleveland, Boston, Atlanta, Toronto, Minnesota, Chicago. We got San Antonio. This slate is a lot more interesting after going through it than when it started for me. But then you have the late night hammer. I'm getting me some late night hammer action. I'm not coming to 10 o'clock at night thinking that my night is over. Now I got to sweat out this whole game. Not happening. I will be finding ways to play this game as well. That's going to do it, nation. Appreciate you hanging out with me, rocking with me, listening to my nonsense, if you will. Again, hit me up on Twitter. Like the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. And please share. Sharing is caring. We love it. For myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.